Welcome to Module 3 of the Community Team Preparation Training. So far, you have already completed modules on spiritual formation and resurrection serving guidelines. In this module, we will focus on cultural awareness and competency. The first thing we must understand is culture. What is culture? Generally, culture is a set of common beliefs, norms, values, and perceptions shared by a group that help to define us as individuals. Many times we think of things like race, religion, language, cuisine, and unique customs. But being aware of someone's culture is nuanced, it's layered and complex. That's why it's important to be intentional about building our cultural competence. Cultural competence refers to understanding the importance of social and cultural influences on the beliefs and behaviors of another individual. This is a crucial skill to work on in order to develop strong communication skills and build mutual respect with those you serve. Developing cultural competence is actionable, and it starts with us. To develop our cultural competence, we have to have a degree of self-awareness. Questions that will aid us in this process include, how do I see my life? How do I see the world? And does everyone see life as I do? We must then explore other cultures. Being open to learning new things and educating ourselves about the cultures and countries we visit is critical in gaining the ability to be a bridge. Here is Katie discussing how her experience impacted her own worldview.
It was really eye-opening. I was very naive to the culture and everything about Puerto Rico. I mean, I knew a little bit about Puerto Rican culture, and I knew a little bit about what happened with the disaster, but as far as everything else, it was just, didn't know a whole lot about it. So I think going there was just really great about just kind of expanding my worldview, getting to know like a different type of person and getting to know like the way that person shows their love and their culture and what makes them passionate, just their everyday, day-to-day life and how different that is from our life is just an amazing thing to kind of just brings you out of your small mindset that you have in the current and helps you just to kind of understand people more. So.
A quote from Mahatma Gandhi illustrates how your life compounds on itself and shows how crucial it is to be intentional in your actions. One such action is analyzing cultural awareness cues. It is always important to be mindful of these clues to remain aware of your surroundings. Here are some examples. Physical proximity. How do people relate? And is personal space important to them? For example, the people of Puerto Rico tend to have a different view of personal space. They are huggers, kissers, and close talkers. Contrastingly, some cultures expect no touching and have definitive personal space. Use of hands. Do people gesture frequently? If so, what types of gestures do people do, or do they not do? In many cultures, it can be considered rude to point at others. Just watch and be aware of how your actions can be perceived. Eye contact. Do people look one another in the eye when they speak? Do they look at you? It's important to understand their culture so that you communicate through eye contact effectively and avoid being unintentionally offensive. Who associates with whom? All cultures are different, and it's important to understand where you are. Learn whether or not it is common for men and women to work alongside one another. Are children included in conversations, or are they to be passive, quiet observers? Roles of men and women. Is this a society, a matriarchal society, or a patriarchal society? Who are the authority figures? Try to remember not to project your own opinions. These cues are not a measure of whether a society is good or bad. These are simple, objective observations, not value judgments. Respect. Understand how respect is shown and to whom before you arrive. For example, should you greet a layperson as Mr. or Mrs., or is it customary to greet them with first names? Is clergy to be referred to as pastor or reverend? Punctuality is viewed differently in different cultures. Some cultures have a loose view as to what it means to be on time, and others may find it disrespectful to arrive late. Your team leader will be able to share some more specific information with you about your destination, but these cues are a great way to begin your knowledge and skills building adventure in preparation. Sometimes it's easy for people from the United States to feel that our way of doing things is the right way. However, we should respect that differences and go in with an open and humble heart. Our primary aim is to honor God as we serve others and share Christ alongside our international ministry partners. To accomplish this, we should develop relationships grounded in service and love. These relationships develop only as we come to know and understand the culture, which requires intentionally removing our blinders and opening our eyes to the lives of the people we meet. We would like to take a moment to share a video from one of our partner schools. Even though there is a language barrier, open your heart and listen to the pride in the student's voice as she explains some of the things she's learned.
Oh, sí, oh, sí. Buenas tardes, yo me llamo Dina Sofía. Hoy les vengo a decir sobre el tema del agua, que trae 3 etapas, que son líquido, sólido y gaseoso. Líquido es cuando el agua sale por la llave, cuando viene el agua. Y sólido es cuando el agua se convierte en hielo. Y gaseoso es cuando una cosa está caliente y el humo sale por arriba. Gracias por haberme puesto a pensar.
More than anything, we work towards building and maintaining relationships. In order to do this, here are a few key points to keep in mind during your trip. Volunteers don't bring God. He already exists within the lives of our partners. We are just an extension of His love. Although we go to serve, it is also important to remember that we receive blessings as well. Humbly accept and appreciate this as an aspect of a serve trip. Don't ever assume that those you serve are less than you or not as intelligent. This only results in harmful viewpoints, so do your best to avoid this. And finally, remember, hospitality does not equal trust. Trust comes through relationships, and relationships take time. You are now a part of that. Do your best to build and not tear down. The last thing we will cover are a few things not to do to ensure that that doesn't happen. We all come to serve with good intentions in our heart, but sometimes there are better ways to execute what we want. Here are a few examples of a better way to look at a situation. Don't come to fix, but instead come to learn and work alongside. Instead of assuming you know what is best for someone, arrive with open ears and an open heart. Don't only focus on what you do for the community, but give thoughts to the blessings you are receiving as well. Now that you've reached the end of Module 3, be sure to take the quiz in order to receive full credit, and then move on to the final module.